Hey, what up, guys? What up? What up? What up? So I'm streaming. What time is it? 8 p.m. So I'm gonna do a quick stream for about an hour. Then I'm actually gonna go to the gym, go work out for a bit. Um, gotta stay healthy, man. Gotta try to stay in shape. Try to be active, right? I'm on the computer all day, sitting down all day, so I need to get my body pumping, right? So I'm gonna go do that at 9. Probably a little bit later today because after I finish, drink my pre-workout, do all of that, get ready, change. So either way, probably be heading towards the gym by 9:10 or so. But no, I wanted to jump on, do a quick stream, um, and wanted to kind of share with everybody. Want to kind of go over a few things, right? Like, if you have questions, man, have any questions related to programming, whatever, man, let me know. Be more than happy. If you have any issues, we could try to jump on and try to solve these issues. So some of the things that I kind of actually wanted to go over was, let me kind of go over my YouTube channel, my comments on my YouTube channel. So there's these specific comments. Dude, why is this not changing, man? Let me try to change this, guys. Man, I swear I fixed this crap already. In YouTube Studio, you change the title for your streaming, right? I did that already. I changed it, and for some reason, it's not applying my changes. I don't get it, man. So let me see if it allowed me to change it now, cause man, it makes no sense. Um, all right, cool. So I don't know if it just fixed it or not. At least it seems to be working, man. I had issues with it. Oh, damn, I need to fix it in Twitch now too. Shit. Yeah, I need to get better at this. I keep forgetting to make these changes because sometimes on Twitch I stream while I'm playing Halo. So what I do is I change. I make sure to I end up my category is Halo. Oh, never mind. It already is on just chatting. Never mind. That's fine. So that's actually valid. All right, never mind. That's good. So either way, it should be good anyways. I'm hoping. I think we'll find out in a minute. So all right, let me go back to YouTube. All right, it looks good now. Probably should have took a picture. Let me take a screenshot. Where did it save it? That's the other thing now. Damn. There it goes. That'll work. That will work. Doesn't let me change it first. See, that's odd, man. There has to be some kind of bug or something going on here, man. See, now it's not even showing. There it goes. Again, what the hell is going on with YouTube? Damn it, it's too large. Shit. Okay, I'll get that fixed. I'm trying to fix it because of damn YouTube. But either way, There's a few things. Again, if you have any questions, man, let me know. We're gonna be talking tech, programming, whatever you want to know, man. Let me know. Be more than happy. You got any code you want to review? Let me know. Be more than happy to review your code. I'm gonna review over some of the comments. We get a lot of different comments of different certain videos that I have made, whether it be some issues that people have, and there's one specific issue, right? Keeps reoccurring over and over again. So I'm hoping that by me sharing that issue with you, we could kind of go over it. If you do have that issue, um, kind of help you identify how to solve that issue, right? Um, so let me. Why is this not working? Damn it. Okay, this should work. So let me go ahead and trying to get this fixed right quick. All right, and oh, you know what? I can't do that. Damn it. All right, that should be good. This should have fixed that issue. All right, so now I should be good. There it goes. Okay, so I want to kind of go over some of these questions that I get, but it's always the same questions, right? Not all of them. There's some of them happens to be the same questions. So let's kind of go over some of these. So for instance, I'm going to be reading some of them that we're getting. Let me find the ones that we're having issues with, because I see it over and over again. I actually responded to a lot of these. Maybe that's why I don't see it here, because I need to check on the one that I have respond. Let me change my filter. Dude, I swear I see this all the damn time, man. Seen it many times come through, many times. Damn it, man. Where the hell is it? I swear I seen him. You know what? I get emails as well. That's why I don't see all of them here. There's a lot of them that I get these issues through emails. All right, hold on, guys. Hold on. All right, guys. Give me 1 minute. 1 minute, guys. I'll be down. 1 minute. Sorry guys. My my daughter actually is with my brother-in-law and my niece, and they're visiting San Antonio. So I'm from Fort Worth, Dallas, Fort Worth. They're from San Antonio. So we did a video call and kind of came out of nowhere. So here's the issue. I think I see it here. So it is a the error is access has been, no, that's not it. Damn it, that's a different issue. It's kind of related. It is slightly different though. Um, Dude, I wonder if I got all of these the request issues. If I got it by email. I know I've seen it many times, man. I thought they put in the chat, but I think they're actually emailing me these issues. Um, there it goes. So pretty much what the error indicates is error authenticating against Office 365. Error from Office 365 code AADSTS50076 due to a configuration change made by your administrator or because you moved to a new location, you must use multi-factor authentication access. So this is a part of it, right? The messages slightly vary a little bit by little, here and there. But that's part of the issue. So what's happening is if your organization has multi-factor authentication set up, then connecting using SharePoint is not going to work. So that's number one. If you're using Python to connect to SharePoint using SharePoint and the organization has multi-factor authentication enabled, then it's not going to work, right? So just want to put that out there. It's not going to work. So there's workarounds for it, but just want to right now just focus on the error. It's not going to work. Now that setting pretty much means it just won't work, period. Now some, like the one that I just read right now, depends on how your admin has it configured. If your admin has it configured as, let's say, by location, right? So let's say, for example, like I live in the Dallas Fort Worth area, and let's say the admin has the office, like the Dallas office, set up to by location. So the area of Dallas, if you happen to be connected online, I guess within an IP address within that area, it'll allow you to connect without multi-factor authentication. But if it happens to be a location outside of that area, let's say Washington, Seattle, like Washington D.C., Seattle, New York, San Francisco, I'm just naming some other places right outside of that area, then the way it sees it, like, hey, you're not in your area no more, so that means it may not be you. So in those scenarios, use multi-factor authentication. In this case, I believe that's the setting that they may have. I don't know, because I would need to look at the actual the configuration to see how it's configured, but that is one of the things that may occur, that potentially is happening in those cases. But what makes it challenging, because again, I don't know unless I see it, but I know it's related to that area. You have all these different kind of patterns, right? You could have it by location. You could even have it by OS. You could say they have to be within a specific region or specific area. Let's say Dallas. And then on top of that, you got to be using Windows OS. And then on top of that, trying to think what other configurations can you put. Maybe it's IP related as well, or it's like a handful of IP addresses or something. I mean, who knows, right? But you could add all these different layers. But one of the messages that I got, they all kind of relate to the same thing, right, to some degree, but they all relate to the conditional access policies that you're able to configure. Those conditional access policies allow you to do all kinds of different variations again, pretty much building rules, right? If you're from this area, then you're fine to access SharePoint as long as you have credentials. If you're not from the area, the specific area, you need your credentials and multi-factor authentication. Or it may be set up, you got to be from a specific area and you got to be using Windows. And if you're not using either or, then you got to use multi-factor authentication. Or they could have it set up where you don't even have access at all, period, right? So that's the other thing too. It could be where it's you know, it's not even that you need multi-factor authentication. With the conditional access policy, you can configure where you gotta be with a specific region or area. You gotta be using Windows, and if you're not using one of those two, then you cannot access it. Period. Which means what that means is you gotta have credentials. You gotta be in the specific area, and you gotta be using Windows or Mac, right? It doesn't have to be Windows. It could be Mac, Linux, or whatever. But you could specify those kind of those rules for that. I think I have an account that I may be able to log in and we could walk through that real quick. Let's see. I think I created I created this account. I am Lou YouTube. I think this is it. So let me go ahead and try to log in to that. So the purpose of this other account that I created is, let's see. What the hell, dude? So this is interesting. I just realized that it almost seems like that's kind of what it seems like. Either Microsoft is actually making it where you got to use multi-factor authentication to log in. That's kind of odd. I don't know if it's maybe a setting that I haven't configured or changed on my side, and that could be it, right? But I just realized that it's making me do that. Okay, so let me try to go to let's see. So this should be under where is it under? Not Exchange, Azure. Oh, damn it, man. I'm trying to remember where is this under security. I want to damn it. Let me open up this window. Man, I don't recall where is that cuz it's been a while. Okay, but let me go to I'll share my screen. Again, this other account that I created, there's nothing, everything I'm doing here is strictly for testing purposes. None of it's for production or none of that stuff. So for some crazy reason, somebody hacks into it and it's not a big deal, right? Or if I'm sharing some sort of, like, there's no information here public. I created strictly this account for the purpose of when I'm making YouTube videos, so I can do this. Kind of go through it right with you. It's not a production account. So what I was gonna go under, I'm trying to think now, man. It's been a while. I believe it's under Azure Active Directory. Let me go to dashboard. So this is my dashboard. There it goes. So under Enterprise Applications, we have Conditional Access. Create your own policies and group. So let's kind of go through this. I think I this one for testing purposes. Deployment access. You can manage conditional access. Okay, so let me go back. I think my account may not have it then. I actually thought I upgraded this account for the purpose of doing this, but I'm wondering if that's not the case. Create your own policy, the target, specific condition, the cloud, sign in, device, blah, blah, blah. I guess not. Damn, I swear I thought I had it. Maybe I don't. But let me kind of try to go through some of this at least, right? So I'm under the conditional access section. So one thing we see already, the named locations, right? Just kind of go through it real quick. At least this piece. We could select from country locations, IP locations, configure multi-factor authentication, trusted IPs. So let's try this one real quick. Allow users to create app passwords to sign in into non-browser apps. Did not allow users to create blah blah blah. That's not what I wanted. Allow users to remember multi-factor authentication on device they trust between X amount of days. For the optional user experience, we recommend using conditional access sign-in frequently to extend session lifetime on trusted devices, locations, or lower risk sections as an alternative. So this is kind of where it kind of speaks on, you could build these rules that says, all right, if they're coming from maybe let's say Windows, from a specific area, right, location, things of that nature, either A, maybe you don't need a multi-factor authentication, or B, you do, but it's very sporadically, right? It's every once in a while. It's not every single time. Where if somebody were to try to log into your account, let's say from another country, well, by default, it will trigger, nope, it needs, send out an email or text message or whatever for their, maybe some kind of 6-digit code, or the the Microsoft Authenticator app. For example, you will need to type in that 6-digit code that changes, things of that nature, right? But that all kind of relates to conditional access, and that's kind of what this is. So I think the account that I have, I don't have a license that's really allowed me to make these modifications. But if you did have one more like enterprise, right, like a bigger organization, that's kind of where all of this happens. All of that comes in play. So let's say common conditional access policies. Let's take a look at this real quick. So here's some templates, right? Require multi-factor authentication for admins. What else do they have? Require multi-factor authentication for guest access. Require multi-factor for Azure management. So these are all the different types of, rules you could ultimately apply to. Which makes sense, because you could have it where, all right, maybe your account doesn't need multi-factor authentication, but let's say anybody like an admin who's going to be logging into the Azure portal, which again, you got more control to that. That's something you don't want anybody just to log in, or you don't want that to be compromised. And even if it does get compromised, the last thing you want is for them to start doing, be able to log in and do all kinds of craziness, right? When they do that. Conditional access components. So let's go over there are the conditions. Sign in risk for customer with access device platforms. So here's a good one, one of the ones that I'll tell you about device platforms, right? So we take a look at it. The device platform is characterized as the operating system that runs on the device. Azure AD identifies the platform by using information provided by the device, such as user agent string. Since each agent string can be modified, this information is unverified. Device platform should be used tune policy. The default is to apply it to all devices. But again, you could do Azure conditional access support. You could ask rules that would say only on Windows. But what they're saying here is because it's being done through the browser when you connect. Where is it at? There we go. This user agent. So this is a header attribute, metadata, right? You know, it's a key value that's provided on the header level of when you send a request or a post, for example, to the Microsoft login. That value, in theory, you could change, right? Like the every operating system that you're using a browser, it does default and does kind of send that information over when you connect to it by default, right? Which is normally tells you, hey, this is a Windows, this is a Mac, Android, whatever. But again, you could modify that. Those are header values that you could override and say, hey, I'm really Windows when you're really Linux. You know, especially they have like rules that say only Windows could access it, right? So that's kind of what they're saying here. Then we go down, we got locations. You know, so location configuration. What are they talking about here? Organization can choose to include or exclude locations. So that's the other thing. You could say only this IP address, right? Location may include IP address, network information, country, or region, or even unknown areas that don't map to specific countries or regions. Only IP ranges can be marked as a trusted location. So that makes sense. That a good example for that would be you work in an office, let's say in Dallas. I keep saying Dallas because I'm from the Dallas Fort Worth area. You work in an office in Dallas. You know, you could have it where you know your office in Dallas would, let's say, where you would have some sort of IP address associated with it. You could say, hey, um, in order for you to access SharePoint, you got to be located from this IP address. And let's say the only way you could be located from that IP address is either A, being in that office because you're connected to the network, and because you're connected to the network, you're pretty much under that IP address, or you're VPN into that IP address, which means you're remoting in. You know, you're connecting to a virtual private network, and by connecting to that network, now it puts you under that umbrella of now you're part of that IP address. So now you're able to connect to other resources type deal. That's a good example for that, like why you would do that, I guess. Like a good example for me, not related to Microsoft, but when it comes to having an IP address like whitelisted, right? Not blacklisted, but whitelisted only to only allow that IP address, you know, to connect. I use AWS for all my resources. We have a few servers, databases, Redshift. I mean, all kinds of stuff, you know, that we have, and that's where we do all of our operations. Um, I have either contractors or even full-time employees that work for me. They need access to the database, they need access to the server, and so on, right, to do their work. Um, so what I normally do is I have this other server, like it's actually out excluded. It's not even in AWS. I have it on DigitalOcean. I have another server that's running my virtual private network. And the way I have that connect, and the way I have it configured is I have AWS over here, kind of have it isolated on its own. Then I have another server which resides in DigitalOcean, which is my VPN. Everybody, in order to have access to this, they gotta connect to this first. So what I do, I create a profile, credentials. They have to be VPN first to the server over here. this server has an IP address. That IP address is whitelisted over here to only allow access from this IP address over here. All the other stuff that happens within the network, it's all internal, right? Like I have a server that happens that be under the same network that maybe connects to a database, for example, and does, maybe does different things, right? S3 bucket, all kinds of other stuff that's happening, but it's all happening under in its network, right? Over here, under the umbrella. But the only IP address that it allows is the IP address from over here, from this VPN over. Now I have whitelisted my home IP address because since I work from home, for me, I don't to kind of bypass the whole VPN and all of that. I just whitelisted mine and I connect direct to it, so that's not an issue. But everybody else has to be connected to the VPN, and but that's an example, right, on how that actually operates. Let's see. But a lot of the issues that I'm seeing people having, it all relates to that, man. This conditional access policy component. That's what it relates to, man. You could configure it to do all kinds of settings. From kind of let's go back down, right, to, did I pass it already? Device, location, let's see, client apps. By default, all newly created conditional access policies would apply to all client apps. No, that's not it. What else? Filter for devices. There's a new optional condition called filter for devices. When configured, filter for devices as a condition, organization can choose to include or exclude devices based on a filter using the rule of expression on device properties. The rule and expression for device properties can be authorized using rule builder. So there's all kinds of stuff you could do on here, man, to kind of reduce down who has access from one endpoint, what location. If they are going to, like, you have employees that work remote and some of them don't work, let's say in Dallas, they work in New York, maybe they even work international, right? They work in another country. That is where, you're like, all right, I'm going to turn on two-factor authentication. And then since we have a lot of people that are working from other places, or they could do it kind of what I did, right? Have a VPN. Like, well, you got to be part of the VPN network. If you're part of that VPN network, then you can have access to these other resources. But if you're not, then you can't. So there's all kinds of ways to do it. It all depends on how you want to do it. Everybody has their own preference of doing it. So I don't think there's a wrong or right way to do it. Just pretty much your choice, right? What you want to do. But this will cause a lot of issues though, because again, when people are trying to use Python and use SharePlump to connect to SharePoint, what I'm seeing is a lot of organizations have started activating two-factor authentication. Even if they don't have two-factor authentication set up where you need to enter that information in all the time, what they are doing is saying, okay, if you're not in the office, let's say you're trying to connect from home, two-factor authentication. That's what they're doing. But you're in the office, no two-factor authentication. You could do that, and you do that through conditional access policies. All of that could be configured through that, and I think that's what will happen a lot. I'm starting to see, because a lot of people tell me, hey, this is not working, or they may tell me, hey, I tried this out on my personal account and it worked, but now I'm using my code to connect to the company SharePoint and it doesn't work. I get this error message. And then, of course, when I read it, it relates to conditional access policies. Then it kind of provides some more details, and I'm seeing some of the key similar error messages, but they seem to all relate to multi-factor authentication, where either A, that has been enabled, and if it is enabled, SharePlump does not work. I mean, I haven't figured out a way where it works. It just doesn't work, which is number one. Number two, maybe it's not multi-factor authentication all the time, but it may be configured where when you're in the office, there is no multi-factor authentication, which means if you run it at the office, you may run that script and it works fine, but then when you go home and try to run it, it doesn't work because it's multi-factor authentication. And that's one of those deals where, at least in those cases, if something does come up, um, at least there's a workaround. Like, especially when you automate something that runs at midnight or runs every so often, at least at the minimum, you could hopefully have a computer at work where you could have that script just execute at a specific time. And you could easily do that, especially if you use the Windows. You could use something um, like this task scheduler. It's not the fanciest tool. It's not, I'm not gonna say it's the best or nothing, but it gets the job done. It works good enough. And I have jobs that run at midnight, um, and that's what I'm using here. Now for my production stuff, where I have all kinds of jobs automated, I do have a platform that I use. Again, this is an actual like a legitimate piece of software called Visual Crohn's, and I actually like it a lot, man. It works very well. I like it a lot. But this is just kind of show you some pictures. Ultimately, this is what this right. You create jobs for everything, and then you have task. You create whatever task you want. So it's a job. Then every job has tasks inside. And then every task, you could even add conditions where if certain conditions are met, then you run this task. If not, you skip that task or you stop the process or whatever. It's very feature rich, man. I gotta say, it has a lot of features. It works very well. And this is what now it's not cheap. Again, I think I paid for my license $1,500. But again, I use that for production, basis, right? So that's the other thing. Keep in mind, like I have a business that I use it for. I have clients that I'm using it for to automate a lot of these jobs, whether it be pull data, call this API, whether it be extract this. There's all kinds of stuff that I'm using. I'm actually using it in line with other stuff. Like I use it in line with MapForce, which does a lot of like data extraction or data generated. Like I may extract data from an XML and then I load that data to a database, or I may call a database query, and then I end up generating EDI files. And again, if you're not, most of y'all may be familiar with JSON and XML. If you're not familiar with EDI, let me just kind of show you a sample. I should have done EDI sample. You get used to dealing with it, but man, I rather prefer working with XML or JSON. That's for sure. But you get used to it. Just every once in a while, you get to some kind of nuances that you have to deal with, and it's a lot easier to manage that, I think, or to accommodate that. So here's a sample of this is not a good sample though. Let me try to find a better sample. Nope, that's not a good sample either. So let me just pick one of these. Damn it, y'all don't have no damn sample, guys. Okay, maybe here's a sample. Kind of a sample, but see how you have these, like ultimately the first element represents a specific segment, right? Like let's see if this talks about it. Like the ST start of the transaction, right? So maybe ST could be start transaction, but ultimately this code here represents what kind of EDI file you're dealing with. So for example, you could be dealing with like warehouse orders, warehouse receipts, acknowledgements for warehouse orders, and so on, right? All kinds of stuff like that. The thing that I do like about EDI is it is considered a bit more structure. Like it's something that a lot of companies that do EDI, they all follow the same thing, right? If you're gonna be doing purchase orders, it's what's called 850. If you're gonna be doing warehouse acknowledgements, like order fulfillments, like what 8945. There's all kinds of different codes, but ultimately they represent some sort of like it's not just that you get a random XML file, But again, with XML file, you could structure that way. You could have like a tag that tells you what kind of XML it is. This XML is for orders, for receipts, for adjustments, or whatever. Like you could do that. It just the thing about it, EDI, there's a standard that's kind of globally, right? So whoever you share this file with, or like that type of file, everybody will follow the same standard. That's some of the benefits from it. Where in XML, there is no standard. So even though you could create your own standard, doesn't mean that the next person or the other company or whoever else is going to be doing the same thing either, right? They could have their own variation of it easily. So, but again, that's kind of where this is a little bit more advanced once you get to that point. And again, it's not cheap. I have a license, and I believe I paid $1,500, and then you renew it every year for $1,500. So yeah. So they have basic. I don't know if you pay for basic or not, but I know that's not what I got. I do have the pro license, and the pro is $1,500. It doesn't tell you the price, which is kind of odd. I'm not sure why that's the case. Get price quotes, maybe. Yeah, that's odd, man. I swear it was like very transparent. Like you're easily able to um figure out what the price was, but I guess not. Yeah, I don't know. But again, if I recall correctly, I paid $1,500 for my license. Um, it's not cheap, but it's very feature rich. It really is. So there's all kinds of stuff that comes pre-built to easily connect to FTPs, SFTPs. I think AS2 maybe. I'm not 1% sure. Um, Web services. You can move files around. You could call terminal, run commands like in terminals. So there's all kinds of stuff you could do. Email. You send out emails once something is done. So yeah, it's pretty cool. I like it. All right, guys. Well, again, just wanted to jump on for a bit, stream for a bit. Trying to work out a schedule. This may be something I end up maybe doing a little bit more. Have some kind of better schedule of this streaming. Again, on Fridays, I do stream from 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. So keep that in mind. 9 p.m., 11 p.m. Fridays. And it's called Drinking with Lou. So what we do, we drink. Last week, I was actually drinking this bottle. And man, I gotta say, this bad boy was good. Man, it was real good. So I actually have like 2 new bottles over there. One of them I have tasted already. Like a few weeks back when I did one of my sessions of Drinking with Lou. There's another one I want to buy, but man, I don't think they have it at the liquor store that I go to. I may have to order it. My only concern though is that if I order it, I think it's gonna take about a week or so. So it may not be here by this Friday. But either way, I may end up ordering it. So even if it takes 2-3 weeks, eventually, once it gets there, do a video. That will be my bottle that I would drink then. But again, man, join. We're gonna be drinking, talking tech, Python programming, whatever, right? I do have a video. I got a request about how to identify emails, like using Python Connect to read emails. The original request was how to connect to Outlook and read the emails one by one, and based on probably some keywords, determine like, oh, this is junk, so just kind of delete it. This is not junk, so keep it. But there's an easier way to do it, because in order to do it that way, you're pretty much doing, you're not crawling the page. You're probably most likely using Selenium, maybe identifying. I don't know. I think that's more complex, but there's an easier way. There's actually an API to connect, not to Outlook, but to Exchange, Microsoft Exchange. From there, you'll be able to find keywords, search through the whole all of the messages based on certain keywords. Then you could say delete, right? As they come back, you get results back. So way more easier, way more cleaner. I got a video. I'm gonna do a video over that, and so hopefully get that done by the weekend. Get the release. It actually was a request from somebody. I got an email from somebody, so that's the plan there. But yeah, so be on the lookout for that. That should be coming out hopefully by this weekend. Again, guys, I'm about to get ready, go to the gym. Whenever I join on, I'm gonna try to put a better schedule, man. I know a lot of times I join on, it's kind of just ad hoc. There's no schedule to it. I do feel there's some people that do follow me and that do join whenever I'm live, but I know my schedule's very out of whack right now, so I need to work on that, build a schedule that makes sense, and then put it out there, and hopefully that'll make it just easier for me because I like having things somewhat. I like to schedule things, but honestly, a lot of it don't ever come out to play. But nevertheless, it still helps out. I feel like, right, to some degree. But yes, I'll be on. What's today? Wednesday. I don't know if I'll be on tomorrow, but I will be on Friday again. Drinking with Lou, 9 p.m., 11 p.m. Central. So join if you can. We'll talk then.